Welcome to Rated Radio Plus, the show where artists and albums are pitted against each other while their songs get rated on a scale of 0 to 10. I'm your host, Shane Wyndham, and this is Ronnie Milsap versus Ricky Van Shelton. Hope you're ready for a fight. We will start here with Ricky Van Shelton. The album that rolled at random was A Bridge I Didn't Burn from 1993. Of the 11 tracks, I thought 10 were great, but none of those got a flawless rating. My bottom track was I Know the Way by Broken Heart, and my top track was A Couple of Good Years Left. The music makes me feel like I know my way around a small town I've never been in before now. I'd recommend this artist to fans of George Strait, Alan Jackson, Conway Twitty, Dwight Yoakam, Kenny Chesney, Vince Gill, and Keith Whitley. Then there's Ronnie Milsap. The random album I got from this artist was Pure Love from 1974. Of the 10 tracks, I thought 4 were great, and none of those got a flawless rating. My bottom track was Streets of Gold, and my top track was Amazing Love. The music makes me feel like I'm watching a movie that's too similar to another I've already seen. I'd recommend this artist to fans of George Jones, John Denver, Charlie Rich, Mac Davis, Merle Haggard, and Tom T. Hall. I grew up hearing plenty of these particular artists' songs. Milsap was all over my dad's side of the radio stations, and my mother was big into Ricky Van Shelton's greatest hits. What's wild to consider then is that Milsap's greatest hits is a 2-disc monster, while Shelton's was the single disc. And I've never encountered anyone trying to get me to dig deeper, despite the fact that the Shelton album I heard this week felt like it could have been disc 2 of a greatest hits spin without anyone batting an eye in disbelief. My expectations for the way this shook out were polar opposites of the way this actually went. I'm not going to stop loving what I know of Milsap, think less of his vocal talent, etc., but it deserves said that his Pure Love album felt more than wrought with country tropes. The lyrics were often uninspired, the dance-a-jig bass being near the front of each mix made the melodies feel unchanging. And some of it gets too softly misogynistic or deliverance adjacent for my tastes. Still, there's not a bad song across either of these albums. Ricky Van Shelton put up higher marks than I would have bet on. His content was mostly playful and relatable. There's a good amount of solo guitar and intricate instrumental work. Plus, I suspect the songs from his disc are only going to keep growing on me. Milsap's at his best when pulling on heartstrings with Air Supply-like emotional sweeps, or when he's coming across like Jim Croce in a good mood. Plenty of his material, however, leaned into bleak drinking territory, or made me feel as though someone was about to start whistling Dixie. Because Van Shelton sounded more conscious of all aspects of the sound, and because he had 2 extra decades of social evolution pruning his lyrics, this win goes easily to Ricky. Please like or comment if you're still listening, and remember you can send all kinds of feedback to rated_radio@yahoo.com. You can even see the majority of songs I rate by clicking join for free at patreon.com/ratedradio. This episode is meant for paid subscribers, but will remain free to hear until the next edition of Plus releases in a month or so, because I'm cool like that. Anyway, that's gonna do it for now. Until next time, fill your world with music.